So those will be available on our YouTube channel. So,
all right, for sure.
Okay. So first of all, Rondo, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a simulator that I created conceptually in my head, and then I pitched it to a couple of the companies. I pitched it to Draft Tech and a few others, and some of them liked the idea, but they weren't going to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just funded it myself.
Right.
Okay. So this is a different kind of mock draft simulator. What makes it different is that every pick that you ever see in any round is there because a fan put it there. Okay. So basically mock drafting is now a group project. Yeah. So there's advantages to that. One of the things that I have found is that the layers of randomness in the algorithm I conceptually built in my head is, to me, it's significantly more unpredictable here. There's parts of this that are really predictable,
mm-hmm.
but in general, like when I've used other simulators in the past, the same players would always be available for me in round 3 or round 4. And in this one, that's not necessarily going to be true. So the demonstration is really just going to be, okay, I'll show you what the algorithm is. And if you have questions, at any point, you can, ask. And then I'll show you some of the bells and whistles that I think podcasters should like.
Okay.
So obviously I'm a podcaster too, but you have a different perspective because you're focused on a specific team, whereas I am focused on just promoting draft information in general.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so fundamentally, the fundamental design is that every team on this simulator has their own player list.
Mm-hmm.
So the player list for the Colts is different than the player list for the Bills, is different than the player list for the Bears.
Okay.
It's the same list of players, but they're in a different order. Okay, so
gotcha.
in every mock draft that somebody does for the Colts, it's going to change the order of the players for the Colts. It doesn't change the order of the players for the other 31 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So fundamentally, that's what it's doing. Okay, and I do see that you have a guest with you. Who's that?
Yep. That is Timo. Makes a frequent appearance on my podcast.
Fantastic. So what is your podcast? I'm assuming it's for the Colts, right?
Yeah, so First and 56, or obviously Indianapolis Colts focus, everything and anything in Indianapolis Colts. We'll talk kind of base football a little bit, but like you said earlier, we focus purely on Indianapolis.
Okay. So is 56th Street where Lucas Oil is?
No, 56 is where the training facility is.
Got it. Okay. So Lucas Oil is actually one of my favorite stadiums. I've been to one game there, but that was incredible. Relative to the games I've been to in Buffalo or in Cincinnati, right. The stadium in Indy to me is tremendous. So
yeah, obviously I'm a little biased, but it's definitely the best. It's gotta be the best stadium in the league.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is that if you go to team needs, and I've already got it open. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll scroll to it so that you can see. Okay, so if you find the Colts, there's a player list over here.
Yeah. Okay,
this is the order of the players for the Colts. So this list,
of course,
got here. What was that?
I said, of course, Brock Bowers is first. Of course.
And he's there because that's the player the fans have picked the most. Okay. So the players get here primarily by being picked. That's not entirely true. So a player, let's say OU, and I think Marvin Harrison, when I checked earlier, he was 11th. So if the Colts don't have a chance to pick him,
right,
players will fall a little bit. So the player may be available, but you may have to search to page 2 or 3 to find them if they've fallen. So part of the algorithm is when a player's picked, their value goes up. And any player that's skipped, their value falls by a fraction of the amount that the player moved up.
Gotcha.
So if a player is constantly ignored, they constantly lose a fraction of their value, kind of thing.
Okay, and so like the player list, is this only like based on the first round or just like in general?
Oh no, this player list is 70 pages.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get in and kind of show you some of that. Okay, so fans have control of the board. So what I'm going to do is the Ravens pick at the back of the first round, right? So right now they have the 32nd picks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a one-round Ravens draft.
Okay.
And I'm going to flip this button on right here, which is first round BPA, to say I want every team to take the top player on their board in round one. That way we can see who's at the top. And then when we see who the Colts take, we'll go in and we'll start talking about how to change the Colts board.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we're just going to let the simulator do what it does. Okay. So the algorithm for the simulator is that at least 50% of the time, if this was the Ravens, if the Ravens were being simulated, the Ravens would pick BB because he's the number one player available on their board. Okay. At least 50% of the time, the top player gets picked. If it's not the top player, then it's going to go to a player that's in the top 8. So Blake Corum would not be a first round pick because he is the 9th player available on their board.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm just going to go with AD Mitchell here. Okay. And if we look for the Colts, right now, Odunze is the top player available on the Colts board as this is going. Okay. So, but the fans have control over this. So let's say the Colts, let's see, like Verse or Keon Coleman, because I think the Colts need edge, wide receiver, and corner.
Yeah, you could argue that. I would say more corner. I would say more corner, receiver, and edge. But I mean,
okay. So, and I'll let you control that. Like, yeah. I don't want to be the one sitting here telling you. So let's focus then on corner and receiver. So, for example, corners that might be available would include Wiggins. He went after the Colts pick, as did Rakestraw. And we can go look at what the other players were. So the fastest way to change the board is this thing called the first round challenge right here. Okay. So a first round challenge is 5 unique first rounds. And the simulator is just going to load the 5 rounds for you. Okay. But it will not let you pick the same player in any of the 5. So I'm going to flip first round challenge on. I'm going to go to the Colts, and we're going to start. Okay. Keeping in mind that Odunze was the top player available to the Colts when the simulator did it, and you can see that he's sitting there right at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say we're going to go. Did you say corner and receiver?
Yeah, I would say corner for sure.
Okay. So we'll do Wiggins as one of the picks in the first round challenge. So by me picking him, his value increased. Okay. So it just finished that, and now we're doing the second first round. Notice it made Wiggins go before the Colts pick. So meaning we did Wiggins, and then this time it says, okay, so notice Tyrion Arnold right now is 7th on the Colts draft card. See that 7 right there? So he's 7th, but we're picking him in the first round. He should increase from 7. Okay, so other corners that are available. Do you like any of these other corners in round 1 to the Colts?
Definitely not in round 1.
Okay, so that's not a good round 1 list for you?
Nah.
Okay, so then you said wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Any of these wide receivers that you like in round one?
Don't like any of them either.
How about Coleman?
Not around one at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else do you like in
let's go
round
to
one?
Edge.
Okay, so let's go to Edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, jeez. In real life, this is a Chris Ballard trade down moment. Oh man.
You are not the first one I've demoed this to where they say, wow, that list is not what I would want to pick from. That happens a lot with this.
No, just for funsies, take Latu out of UCLA.
Okay. And just observe he's 3 on the board.
Yep.
Okay. We have 2 more first-round picks that we need to find to complete the challenge.
Huh. Hit tight end for me. Nope, that didn't.
So Bowers is off.
Yeah, Bowers is gone, and
then I'm looking for Sanders. Did Sanders already go?
Yep, he went number 2.
Okay, so there is a randomness aspect when you do a first round challenge. There's a randomness aspect because it is trying to make a player drop to see, do you take him or do you skip him?
Yeah, I kind of hate how Kool-Aid never falls to 15, because that's who I ideally want, like in real life.
And we still have one more. You never know. Let's see. Is DeJean there? Or is DeJean gone? DeJean's gone. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my, hit hit receivers. Yeah, nope. Oh man. So who's the top rank on the board for the Colts then on if you hit all? Just
say again.
If you hit all, who's it?
Oh, it's Chop Robinson.
Yep. Well, take him then, and then we'll see.
And observe that he's 8 at the time that we picked him. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so you want Kool-Aid.
For sure.
Okay. And observe that he's 7th.
Right.
Okay. So you get this great screenshot, right? You can copy this and put it to social media right here, right? So that's on my clipboard. I could tweet that right now. This is where I'm saying this is good podcasting content.
Yeah.
Because if you make people go through this, the randomness, not everybody's challenge is going to be the same. They're not going to see the same players. So the question would then be whoever the fans pick the most. So if I do it, you do it, and your friend does it. If 2 of our picks are the same, those are likely going to be the top players in the Colts board. And then those other 3 players that weren't will trickle and they'll be high on the Colts board. They just won't be the top 2 kind of thing. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the team needs, and we're going to look at the Colts board. And what you should see is that the players that we picked should have moved up a little bit. There's been enough mock drafts done. Like, we didn't move Bowers off of the top spot.
Right.
We didn't move Odunze off. I don't remember where McKinstry was. I don't remember if he was 4 or not. But
I think he might have been 5 when we started. So
so we moved him up 1 spot. Yeah. You can see Wiggins. You can see Arnold, Chop Robinson. So there was possibly a little bit of movement, but the more mock drafts that are done, like each of those players is going to move up when that's done. So there's no guarantee that we did enough to move the board. But we're going to go through and we're going to do that again. And the key is we're definitely not going to pick Odunze because if we keep ignoring him, his value will decrease a little bit. And I just want to show that we have control of what that board is. So we'll do that one more time. What wide receivers do you like in round 1?
So that's the thing. I'm like, maybe I'm a radical. I don't even want to take a receiver in round 1. I mean,
you do or do not?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my co-hosts, he wants Odunze for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been team. We need to go corner in round 1. So I'm big on Kool-Aid.
And then you like Jared Verse in round 1?
Let's see. Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
Okay, and he was 13th at the time that we picked him. And by the way, I grabbed Wiggins and McKinstry while we were talking. So
yeah, see now he went number 14. So
okay, so just for the purposes of demonstration,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to grab Adisa Isaac, who's 65th on the board. Okay, and I'm taking him in round 1. He's going to shoot from 65, and he's probably going to get close to the top 10.
Well, yeah, just in that mock. Now he went at 14. So.
Yep. And then, do you like DeJean as a corner?
Just see what happens. Sure, why not?
Okay. DeJean is 15th at the time that we picked him. Okay. So we did McKinstry, Wiggins versus Isaac DeJean. So if we go back to the player list, the players we picked will have moved up. And so McKinstry is now number 2 on the board. He is now higher than Odunze.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wiggins is there. Arnold is there.
Yeah, now Isaac 9.
Moved up to 9. Right, so he was at 60-something, and he moved up to 9. Okay, so there's a couple ways to think about that, too. Mm-hmm. If you like a player in round 2, if you take him in round 1 once, Isaac would be sitting at the top of the Colts board in round 2.
Yeah.
Right? So there is ways that you can use this to manipulate. Like, obviously, most people do mock drafts just so that they can share on social media. Here are the players I like. But people are now also mock drafting against your picks. So if you want people to mock draft against your board, there are ways that you can implement a board here. But you can only implement it by mock drafting. You're not loading a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna manipulate it by doing mock drafts, and through this demonstration, I can show you some of those techniques. But on the NFL Draft Fanatics YouTube channel, we have a really good demonstration for the Chargers and Steelers. Mm-hmm. So I met with somebody similar to yourself for those 2 teams.
Okay.
They gave me a list of 45 players, and we podcasted, and I talked through how to set up a 7-round board here with them. We did it also for Buffalo, and we did it also for Dallas. But those boards didn't get implemented as well as the Pittsburgh and the Chargers board. Just with the nature of the players that those specific podcasters like.
Okay, so probably dumb question. So obviously, when you're mock drafting, it's all on one screen. I could control all 32 teams, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So if anything, I could do like a collab type of thing and literally do like a real mock 1st-round draft in.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I can have fun with this.
Yep. Yeah. So like, if you want it, I think a lot of people when they do mock drafts test scenarios.
Yeah.
Scenario 1, Colts do a corner in round 1. Scenario 2, the Colts do an edge in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what ends up happening then is, like, if you're going through your cornerback scenario and you've got 2 or 3 of the corners sitting at the top of the Colts board, anybody else that's using the simulator is mocking against your scenario, but they don't know that you did that scenario.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know that you did that, right?
Right.
Because maybe the scenario is, well, we need a wide receiver, but we're going to do that in rounds 3 or 4. We're not going to do it in round 1, for example, right? So let's go through, and I'm going to do the Baltimore 2-round. I'm going to do a 2-round Baltimore mock because they're at the back of round 1. Baltimore 2 rounds, go. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to toggle on 1st-round BPA. I'm going to want that on. I don't always talk and think well at the same time.
Now, so there's no way to like, you don't have like trades on here, right? It's just
there are.
Okay.
Yep. This window right here is the trade window. So I can show you where the trade dialogue is.
Okay.
So that's a trade window as well. So for example, it's proposing pick 165 and Marlon Humphrey for 156, 185, and then all those picks next year. Right. So there is like a random, propose the trade. So if you remember, I took A.D. Mitchell last time. So he wasn't
that high.
Fourth. He wasn't fourth. So I'm going to pick A.D. Mitchell again. And we're going to go take a look at who the Colts picked here in a second. I forgot to scroll and look for that. Okay. And then I'm going to do Byron Murphy again. Okay. So if we look.
Hey, Kool-Aid.
Okay. We did that.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we mean by an interactive simulator. We were the ones that did that. Let's look at the Colts pick in round 2. Okay. Latu fell to the Colts in round 2. So it wasn't Adissa Isaac. I was thinking it was going to be Adissa Isaac, but apparently Latu was higher on the board.
Yeah.
So that was why the pick was him. Questions, comments?
Well, no, I mean, because my trade thing got answered. I got to see it live action too. So yeah.
So let me show you where that is. So there's 3 different times trade would be proposed. So if we go in for the Colts and we just do like a regular 2-round mock, the first time you can propose a trade is before the draft begins. So that's what this window is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to start the draft. Sometimes it will propose a trade to you. So here it's saying, and keep in mind that I haven't loaded 2024 player rosters yet.
Right.
So this still has Stephon Gilmore and Matt. Yeah. I mean, it still has Matt Ryan as your quarterback too.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. So that's another way. And then where did they put it? Because there should be a way. Oh, there it is. Trade's right there. So you could go into the trade window and you can propose a trade right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, and it is players and picks. It's not just picks. But again, I have to wait for the season to end to know who gets cut before I load the rosters for this year, right? Okay. Questions on that?
I'm going to
show you more bells and whistles.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So we did a first round challenge, which is 5 unique first rounds. And that was pretty quick. I mean, we did 2 of them and we probably got each of them done in like 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't long. A second round challenge is 10 unique second rounds. Okay. This would take, if we did this, it's going to take about 10 minutes. Okay. But it's basically going to take you through. We do Colts second round. Okay. So what positions do you think the Colts target in round 2?
Round 2, if they go corner in round 1, then round 2 is probably their receiver edge, maybe receiver edge, tight end, maybe even a safety there.
Okay. So we'll do. So round 1 is Wiggins. And then I'll go look at the wide receiver in the edge list. Okay. So if we look at wide receiver and edge, so you notice where Isaac is. He was second on the list based upon what we did with the last first round challenge, right?
Right.
So do you like Latu in round 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So the goal of a second round challenge is that if you're always picking the player at the top of the draft card, that's the same player the simulator would have taken. Which means that the draft card is set up effectively for the first 2 rounds. And so, like here, I'll take Wiggins. First round, you can repeat the same player over and over and over again. But the second round pick has to be unique.
Gotcha.
Okay. So is there another edge that you like in round 2 out of that list?
Not really, but for see how it works, just take Keon Coleman.
Okay. So Coleman was 41 at the time that we took him. Okay. So if you look at the draft trade chart, a second round pick isn't as much as the first.
Right.
So in the first round, when we took somebody, you saw Isaac shoot up to like 9.
Yeah.
Coleman's not going to shoot up that high because it's a second round pick that we grabbed.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do Chop Robinson. So we'll do edge this time. Is there a corner you like in round 2?
Honestly, like I've only just because the season's barely ended for us, I've done like very light work looking at prospects, so I haven't even really looked past round 1 yet.
No worries.
Yep.
So second round corners, Lassiter, possibly Tampa, possibly Rakestraw. So Rakestraw, he's 93.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to grab him in the second round. So he's going to move from 93 to something higher than 93.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And this is first round again.
So what's the or I'll say when it comes back up, I'll ask questions. So like that number on the right of Isaac, the 40.25, what is that number?
Yeah, I've asked my developers to take that one out.
Okay.
When I load the player board, I have to give each player a value.
Oh, okay.
That's the value I gave the player at the time that the board was loaded. That means nothing to you now because once you start doing mock drafts, that initial value is meaningless.
Gotcha.
Other than maybe when you get to like round 7 and you see a player that actually has a real number there, that means that they had a high preseason ranking.
Oh, okay.
Even though they're still available in round 7. Okay, so wide receiver. Do you like any of these wide receivers in round 2, like A.D. Mitchell or Troy
Just
Franklin?
for funsies, because I saw it on running back, take Blake Corum.
Sure. Okay, he's 22.
Yeah.
Is Jonathan Taylor a free agent?
He is not, but Zach Moss is, which is his backup.
Bills legend, Zach Moss.
Hey, he was nice. He was nice for us. I mean,
agreed. I thought he played significantly better for the Colts than he ever did for Buffalo. Arnold. So this is the 5th. Remember how we said we have to do 10 unique second rounds? This is the 5th unique second round. Okay, so I'm going to do Troy Franklin.
Yep.
Okay, notice how Odunze is slowly moving down.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got Arnold and Wiggins ahead of him, and McKinstry's already off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like here's another one. Like I'll do Kalen King. He's probably not going to go in round 1, but he's going to be he's going to go probably in the first half of round 2. Probably, with whatever ability I have to predict the future, which is absolutely terrible. So
right.
Okay. Now notice in this case, Jared Verse fell to round 2. If Jared Verse falls to round 2, do you take him?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So there is part of the whenever you do a round challenge, part of the algorithm is to make a player drop to see if you take him or if you skip him, because if you skip him, his value is going to drop and he'll move further down the board. So it's a group project and it's testing the average mock drafter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're at 7. Okay, so we've got Wiggins. And then receiver, A.D. Mitchell. So in general, we're picking players pretty close to the top of the Colts board.
Yeah.
I can tell the Colts fans have used it because if I don't have to go hunt to the second or third page for like the wide receiver I want or the edge I want or the corner I want, that tells
me. I mean, like the fact that when we started and like Bowers is number 1, that told me enough because I mean that's the only name I've been hearing in all Colts circles. That's what they want. So.
Oh, okay. See, I hadn't heard that. Like, because the Colts, did they take a tight end last year? They took Delaney. Was Delaney Walker? No, not Delaney Walker. The big guy.
We took Jelani Woods.
Thank you. Jelani Wood was the guy I was thinking of. Yes.
But yeah, he didn't play a snap this season. He was on the IR all season this year. And then, I mean, we took Will Mallory in like the 5th round also, but like, he didn't really amount to much.
Okay. So this is where a second round challenge becomes a challenge. We have done 7 unique second rounds, and the simulator removes the players that we've picked.
Right.
So now we're looking at a board that has wide receiver, corner. Okay, Lassiter would be a decent pick. Corley is a rich man's version of Isaiah McKenzie. Whether Corley has significantly better run after catch than McKenzie does, though. Significantly better. So some people have said that he is the best player in the draft with the ball in his hands. Like he'll even be better than Marvin Harrison Jr. with the ball in his hands.
Huh.
So the issue is he's the same size as Isaiah McKenzie.
Oh, like 5'9",
or something like that. Yeah. So I'll do Lassiter there, and I think we got one more. So I'm a fan of mock drafting. I don't ever want to be seen as an expert on the players. I mean, I listen to what people say about the players.
Right.
I'm regurgitating what other people tell me.
No, yeah, like I'm kind of the same. I mean, like when it comes to, like draft coverage, like very rarely do I kind of even go in depth about it. Okay. I think we did it like maybe once on our show like a few years ago, which ironically enough, like a guy we took in the 5th round, I like nail. He's our starting linebacker now.
Did you say safety?
Like as a backup option. So I mean,
okay. So if Newbin is there in round 2, he's one of the 3 best safeties in the class, and some people will say he's round 1. So I grabbed him. That way we can complete the second round challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do get a screenshot when you're done here. So you're going to see 20 people, right? Because we had to do a first, second round times 10.
Yeah.
Any corners? Is TJ Tampa? Okay, we'll do TJ Tampa. Okay, so we did Wiggins Latu, Wiggins Coleman, Chop Robinson, Rakestraw, McKinstry Corum, right? So you can see the different players that we took. And obviously, we took Wiggins a lot. So if we go back to the Colts player board, Wiggins was 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now going to refresh the page.
And now he's 1.
Yep. So that's how much control fans have.
Yeah.
If they choose to, and to me, the first round challenge and the second round challenge, that's the podcaster content.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So that's part of how it was designed. It's also designed so if you need to implement a player board, there's also a third round challenge, which is 15 unique third rounds. But we're not going to do that as part of the demo.
Yeah.
Because that third round challenge alone takes 25 minutes to do. Right. But if somebody gives me like if you watch the podcast or listen to the ones with the Chargers and the Steelers, what we did is we did a third round challenge, but I said, give me 45 unique players. So no player was ever taken twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we did with Wiggins, where we just took Wiggins.
We kept taking him,
board. Okay. Instead of doing that, you would do just pick each player once, and there's a specific sequence. Like you do the round 2 player in round 1, you do the round 4 player in round 2, and then the round 5 through 7 player you do in round 3, and it pretty much stacks the board. And then once you do the round 2 and the round 4 player, then you do the round 1 player in round 1 and the round 3 player in round 2, and the board is pretty much set up exactly the way that like I would coach the person. Like, who do you like in round 1? Who do you like in round 3? And the board is just sitting right there. But what I will also say is that when you set up a round 1 and round 2 board on this, really volatile.
Yeah.
Because you just saw in 20 minutes, if you had set something up, I could do a second round challenge and bump whatever you did.
Right.
That's by design. That's going to add randomness to the entire experience. That's the idea.
Yeah, and especially because right now it's only January. Like I'm sure, like that's when the season ends, and then I would assume like right before draft day, this thing's gonna go wild.
So yeah, and the feedback that I got when we did this last year is that similar to what you said. Like once you get into like beginning of April, there were like the players that I could get in round 3 on that simulator aren't there.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, that's by design. Because once people start setting up their boards, they begin to realize that player is going to go earlier. And in some cases, we can see a player dropping. So like 2 examples from last year, Osiris Torrance. Okay. If do you know who that is, or do I have to explain?
You explain a little bit.
Okay. He's a guard, and Buffalo drafted him in round 2.
Okay.
At this time last year, everybody was saying Osiris Torrance is going in round 1. But I could see on the simulator that he was falling to round 2 because nobody was picking him in round 1.
Yeah.
I could see that. So even though he was a good player and he's actually he's Buffalo's best draft pick last year. Even though Kincaid had like the 3rd best rookie tight end season ever, and he was Buffalo's round 1 pick, Osiris Torrance is the reason we have a running game this year. Right? Because we actually invested in the O-line. We got a guard that could maul people. Okay. Another one is he's the wide receiver from New England. I'm going to say Boot or Boutte. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. But at the beginning of the draft cycle, people were saying he's a day 2 pick. And I think the Patriots got him in round 6 or 7. You could see him falling down the draft board. Nobody's picking him. So if nobody's picking him, he is going to slowly fall on every team's draft board. So the simulator does have some merit to, like, if people don't like somebody, we will see him fall down the boards of 32 teams. But that means 32 teams have to have fans using the simulator
right,
and continually skip a player when he's available.
Yeah, I definitely got it.
I like seeing you smile. So there's plenty more I could show you, but I also told you this would take between 30 and 45 minutes, and we're at 38. So I want to make sure that I'm not called a liar.
Nah, you're good. And obviously, I definitely got to relay this to the members of my team. But yeah, we're definitely use this on our show.
Okay. So, So I'm a huge fan of no matter what is given to me, I can find a way to make it harder. So I'm gonna show you now like what some of the advanced settings do. Okay. So if you remember when I was doing the draft for Baltimore, I toggled on first round BPA.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything over here on the right is about overriding default behavior. Okay. So draft card depth is 8, randomness is 2, depth is 5. So I'm going to focus on those 3. These 3 work together. They just work together differently. Okay. Draft randomness. The default algorithm is every team take the top player on your draft card whenever you're on the clock.
Yeah.
Okay. This is saying 2 teams will not select the top player on the draft card in each round. That's what the 2 is. So the
Gotcha.
default is 2. So 30 of the selections will be the highest player. 2 of the selections will not be the highest player. The depth. When it's not the highest player, how far down the draft card is it looking? It defaults to 8.
Mm-hmm.
That means at least one of the 2 teams is going to select the 8th player on the draft card. Okay. How many rounds do those settings take effect? The default is 5, which means rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is the default.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, if you toggle on first round BPA, that means first round, everybody take the top. So regardless of what these settings are, everybody take the top player in round 1. So we're overriding the override.
Yeah.
Okay. That means that rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 get the randomness, and rounds 1 and 7 would be the top player.
Uh-huh.
If you flip this on, and I have to have 2 rounds there. There we go. Okay, so if you do this, that means first round and second round, everybody's taking the top player on their board. Rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are what get the advanced settings and the randomness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you only want, like if you set it to 3 with this, that means rounds 1, everybody's taking the top player. Round 2, everybody take the top player.
And then 3 is a chaos.
3, 4, and 5 get random. 6 and 7 are top player because we reduced that from 5 to 3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is you do this now, leave it random.
Yeah.
But then as boards mature later in the draft cycle, that's when you start flipping this on.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning just push the randomness to the later rounds.
Gotcha.
Now, what's interesting is, like, conceptually, when I was designing the simulator, like, I had this entire thing drawn up before I saw how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
With 32 teams having 32 unique boards, we don't even need these. Right? Because you don't know what Buffalo's board is.
Exactly.
So you changing just one player, like if you knew who was at the top of Buffalo's board and you grabbed them, so Buffalo has to go to like the next guy on their board, that already is chaos. It is significantly more random, even without these buttons. Significantly more random than any of the other simulators, according to me. So that's what those do. Okay, there's another thing down here called fanatic mode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to do a 3-round draft for the Colts. Fanatic mode is on, and we're going to set that to 4. We are going to do 4 unique Colts drafts. Every round has to be unique. Okay. If this is set to 4, it's actually kind of easy. If you set it to the max 8, I guarantee by the 8th, you're going to be like, I don't want to say begging for mercy, but can you think of 8 players the Colts should draft in round 1?
Definitely not right now.
Right, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that by the time you get here, you may not be drafting for need anymore. You might say, well, okay, I don't like any of the corners. So if those guys are off the board, somebody does. Who is the guy from Miami? Was it Laramie Tunsil?
Yeah.
Who got caught with the bong? Yeah. Yep. So like if those guys aren't available, who are you going to take? So we got Colts. We have that set to 4. So this generally doesn't take that long.
Mm-hmm.
But we are pushing that 45-minute limit or the 45-minute time estimate. So, okay, so Wiggins is there, so I'm going to grab him in round 1. And then we're going to see the results of the second round challenge that we did. So Latu in round 2. That's a really good pick. You see, and then you also said receiver. What other position would you be looking at in round 3?
Yeah, so if it's like I said, receiver, corner, edge, tight end,
okay.
That's like the big 4.
So Polk, Johnny Wilson is a big tight end, even though he's wide receiver. Mm-hmm. One of the analysts that I work with said, "Well, if you need a tight end, just draft Johnny Wilson and just don't ask him to block." He's a big receiver.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we just did one unique mock. We're going to repeat that 3 times. But what it's going to do, and I can tell somebody else is using the simulator. I can see that there's people watching the podcast. So as soon as people start using the simulator at the same time, sometimes it slows down a little bit. So we took Wiggins last time.
Yeah.
So the simulator makes sure he's not available to us this time.
Okay.
He's off the board. So who would we take? So
we'll go Odunze there then.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
So Odunze. So we've done wide receiver, and then I need to find corner and edge in rounds 2 and 3. Okay. So Lassiter, and you can see like Troy Franklin moved up.
Yeah.
From what we did earlier, you can see where Corum is. He moved up a little bit. And last time, Isaac was there in round 3, which actually surprised me. Okay. We're going to go Isaac in round 3. And there's some people that have a day 1 grade on him. So anyways, so now we've done 2 of the 4 unique mocks. We got 2 more to go.
All right.
Okay, and then Tyrion Arnold. Yeah, I don't know if it was your account, but I did see somebody doing a Colts mock where they drafted 3 corners.
Might not have been us because we haven't, like I said, we haven't done anything yet.
Okay, I think it was a different Colts podcaster.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did corner. Troy Franklin, wide receiver. So in this, no matter which way you mock draft, whether you do a regular mock, you do the first round challenge, you do the second round challenge, you do this fanatic mode, it's changing the player board.
Yeah.
So the players you pick move up. Anybody ranked higher than that player moves down a little bit. What edges are there? And I'm not talking about the players too much. I don't think that that's really what you're after. I just wanted to make sure that I could show you where some of the buttons were.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, I appreciate everything.
So my goal is to find podcasters of every team that would use the simulator in their podcast to get fans to use it. So even though you're not mocking live against other people, whatever the Colts fans do is manipulating the Colts board. And then if I can multiply that effort times 31 more teams, that's kind of that was the reason I was reaching out to you.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I've got connects with a few other guys who are teams. So I can definitely, send them your way.
Yeah. And there's a portion of the simulator that is coming out. We're still in development on it. Mm-hmm. That is, you can actually have 32 people picking against each other live.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, my developers have shown it to me working, but I haven't logged in and seen it working myself. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I believe I just finished, and we got Blake Corum in round 3 there. So even though we took him in a second round challenge and he moved up the board, he was actually sitting right at the top of the Colts board in round 3. So we did Wiggins, Latu, Wilson, Odunze, Lassiter, Isaac, Arnold, Franklin, Murphy, Robinson, Ellis, Koromoa. So that last one I actually double dipped on edge. Wasn't paying close enough attention. So the way the grading works, grading is interactive here. Again, it's a group project. A+ means you pick the top player on the draft card in that round. So if they were the top player and you picked them, that's the A+. If they were 2 through 8, you get an A. If they're 9 through 16, you get a B. 17 through 32 is a C. And 33 and higher is a D. So the player I picked that's a D here, somebody else, if he moved up on the board, the next time somebody takes Gabriel Murphy, there's a good chance that he's a C.
Okay.
Because he's moved up a little bit.
Right.
So you would even be able to see, like if somebody is posting the graphics to social media, if you're trying to figure out like where was Wilson on the board, you knew he wasn't in the top 16 because his grade was a C. Right? So there's a logical question there that says, okay, who is higher than Wilson that you skipped? Could we have waited around to get him?
Yeah.
Those types of questions. Questions or comments?
I've definitely not got no questions now. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I will come on anybody's podcast and I'll talk everybody through it. Like if you guys want to do your Colts talk and just like either have me in the chat for questions or have me in the background for questions, I will engage at the level that you request. And my goal is to do that times 32. Like I said, if I can get fans of 32 teams using it, that's my goal.
Yeah. At least as far as we're concerned, we can 100% coordinate that. Like I said, just even on here, it already looks like I was going to have fun with it. So, I mean, yeah, I can't wait to, like I said, get back to my team and we're going to come up with some ideas and definitely put this to use.
Yeah. And I would say start simple. First round challenge. Just can we, because realistically, we have to get 32. I have to get 32 teams to kind of have their first round boards with how they're thinking. Then we'll know who's available in round 2. But right now, there could be players like right now, Latu on this simulator is dropping to round 2.
Yeah.
Some people say he's the best edge in the class. Now, he has a huge injury history. So there may be a reason that people aren't willing to take him in round 1 to begin with. There's risk because he retired from college football based upon an injury. Then he came back. Right. But there was an injury that made him retire from college football.
Right.
Right. And then he came back. So I understand why he's dropping, but is that really what's going to happen? Or is that really how his evaluation is going to play out? So things like that. Another great example of that is there's a guard named Zach Zinter, and he's the Andrew Voorhees of this year. So I don't know if you remember Voorhees from last year, but Zinter is going to have to redshirt 2024.
Yeah.
Whatever team drafts him, they're not going to be able to play him until 2025. So when he was loaded, he had a 3rd round grade. I can already see him dropping to the 4th round on the simulator. Like, because everybody's picking players ahead of him. That type of thing. So I can see that he's dropping. So what I would suggest and what I think is good content is the first round challenge and trying to say which players are in scope. And I remember, like, even at the very beginning, you're like, I like this corner, that corner, but I don't like the 3rd one.
Yeah.
You knew that you didn't like the 3rd corner in round 1. It's getting people to think like that. It's like, we want this corner, this edge, that edge, and then we have a 5th player. Okay, is that a wide receiver that might be available or a tight end that might be available? That type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've really got nothing else to say. Really, I mean, it's been great.
Okay, are you in Indy by any chance?
I am not. I am in Vegas.
Oh wow.
Yep.
One of my other analysts that I work with is a cab driver in Vegas.
Oh, really?
He's a cab driver in Vegas, and then he does NFL stuff on the side. He is a Chargers, Rams, and maybe Raiders. So I think he writes for all three.
Mm-hmm.
But his name is Brock. So yeah, like I'll see if I can get you and Brock on a podcast.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. So Brock was one of the first people I explained the simulator to, and he's like, "This is genius." Like, because he can put a scenario in for 5 teams. He can use the simulator, set up 5 teams the way he expects them to go, and see how the draft is going to play out with these 5 teams doing it this way, kind of thing. And he was explaining to me how he used the simulator and stuff like that. And I was like, oh wow, like I hadn't even thought of that when I designed it, but yeah, it'll do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, even then, I mean, like for someone like me, or like I said, like I'm not huge on the draft, but it's like just the fact that I have access like player lists, I can now take that and just go research guys now. So I mean,
And we have podcasts on our channel, so the same channel that I'm broadcasting this on. Every Wednesday and Thursday, we have a podcast on a position list. So the Wednesday podcast is always players ranked in the top 100. So last week it was wide receivers in the top 100. This week it is defensive linemen in the top 100. Then on Thursday, so the following Thursday, we do the same position, players 80 through 160. So we did wide receivers 1 to 100 last week. Thursday, it's wide receivers 80 to 160 to try to make sure that the players in the back half of the draft get covered. Most podcast content only covers the top 100 players.
Yeah, pretty much.
Doesn't matter what channel I go to. Very few people are talking about the players on day 3. They don't talk about them until their team drafts them. But I believe you have to talk about those players, because if you know that you can find a wide receiver in round 4 and you have bigger needs in rounds 1 through 3, like edge or corner, that's what you're going to do. Or another example is, like, a lot of teams don't use a day 1 or 2 pick on interior offensive line. Those types of things. So I want to make sure that there's content out there on those players. So our channel has that content, and then there's a lot of demonstrations similar to the one that you and I just did here.
Yeah, like I said, really, you actually kind of really answered all of my questions, and then obviously definitely demonstration helped as well, because I'm a visual learner anyway, so seeing it in live action definitely helped.
Okay. Well, and we've been on for an hour. I want to be respectful of your time, but if you ever have a question or you want me to come on a podcast, the short answer is yes, and then we just got to work out when. So
yeah, for sure. Like I said, we'll definitely still be in contact, and like I said, obviously I appreciate you for bringing me on for this too and showing me, and can't wait to use your baby and, like I said, start putting on some content for us.
Awesome. Hey, well, Rondo, thank you very much. Good luck to the Colts, and I'm sure we will be communicating in the next 4 months.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, one more time, thanks for having me on, and take it easy.
Okay. Thanks, Rondo.